Hay told you the Book of Enoch was apocryphal, that it didn't belong in the Bible, that it was just a strange old myth from a forgotten world. But here's the part they left out. Enoch never died. He vanished. Enoch walked with God and was no more, Genesis 5:24. But what if that wasn't metaphor? What if it was the first recorded ascension through dimensions? What if Enoch was taken, not just by God, but by cosmic design, to preserve secrets too dangerous for humanity to hold? Because the Book of Enoch doesn't just talk about angels and giants. It talks about time gates, dimensional boundaries, genetic corruption, and the architecture of the heavens. This is why it was deleted from most canons, because it exposes the map of earth, heaven, and what lies between. What is the Book of Enoch? Written in ancient Ge'ez, Ethiopian, the Book of Enoch was considered scripture by the early church. Jesus himself quoted its language. So did Peter, Jude, and the apostles. But by the 4th century AD, it disappeared. The church called it heretical. Rabbis banned it. The Vatican locked it away. Only the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserved it, calling it what it is, sacred revelation. But why did they fear it so much? Because the Book of Enoch reveals the forbidden story of the Watchers. The fall of the Watchers. In Enoch, chapter 6, we're told that 200 angels descended to earth. They were called the Watchers, sent to guide mankind. But they broke rank. They saw human women. They desired them. And they crossed the dimensional law. They took them wives, each choosing for himself, and they taught them sorcery, astrology, the cutting of roots. Enoch 7-8. These unions birthed the Nephilim, hybrid beings with giant bodies and unquenchable appetites. They corrupted the earth. They taught forbidden sciences. And they began to interfere with time, bloodlines, and the soul grid. And God responded. Not with a flood, not yet, but with dimensional judgment. The dimensional prison Enoch is then taken on a journey. He travels with angels through layers of reality to see the hidden places. What does he witness? The hollow mountains where the Watchers are chained, a space where time is frozen and beings are trapped, the 7 heavens layered above earth, each with gates, the abyss, a dark realm beneath us, the storehouses of wind and fire. A crystal firmament that separates earth from the upper waters. This isn't poetry. It's a multidimensional cosmology. Enoch is shown the machine of the cosmos. Time flows like a river. Angels manage cosmic law. Stars have souls, and some portals are sealed by name. These are not metaphors. They are operating instructions. And the names of the fallen Watchers? They're recorded. Azazel, Semjaza, Armaros, Barakiel. Entities later echoed in magical grimoires, occult rituals, and secret orders. But Enoch isn't just here to witness. He's there to intervene. Enoch, the first interdimensional messenger. Enoch is sent by God to deliver judgment to the Watchers. He becomes the first scribe of heaven. He records their crimes. He seals their fate. Then he's taken away, not by death, by ascension. Later traditions, Islamic, Gnostic, Hermetic, all agree Enoch became Idris, the one who was raised to a high station. Quran 1957. A man who walked into the higher dimensions and was not bound by death. So now ask yourself, why did the church remove this book? Why did the rabbis seal it away? Why did they scrub Enoch from history? When every ancient culture remembers a man who entered the heavens alive. Because Enoch threatens the system. He proves that dimensions are real, that timelines are corruptible, that hybridization happened, that humans once walked with angels, and that not all of them obeyed. You've heard of heaven and earth. But the Book of Enoch doesn't just say they exist. It shows how they're built. Because Enoch wasn't just a prophet, he was a scribe of dimensions. And what he recorded is so shocking, so mechanically detailed. It sounds more like an engineering manual for the universe than a holy book. Let's decode it. Enoch was taken into the heavens, not 1 but 7. Each one had gates, angels assigned to maintain balance, elemental forces and energies, and strict laws of entrance. The first heaven contained stars being governed and calibrated. The second imprisoned rebel angels in complete darkness. The third was a mix of paradise and punishment, the beginning of spiritual judgment. By the 7th, Enoch saw the throne, and was transformed into a being of light and knowledge. This model matches other ancient maps. Islamic cosmology, Miraj of Prophet Muhammad, also describes 7 heavens, layered and ruled by angels. Kabbalistic tree of life, Etzkheim, maps 10 Sephirot, or levels of divine emanation. Hermetic texts describe ascending through 7 planetary spheres before reaching the divine source. Even Plato and Pythagoras hinted at these layers, but never explained how they worked. Only Enoch recorded the gate system. According to Enoch, everything in creation passes through gates. Sun and moon pass through portals at the edges of the earth. Seasons and winds are regulated by doors in the firmament. Rain and snow descend from storehouses, not clouds, and souls themselves pass through judgment gates, where angels measure them. I saw the gates of all the winds, and I saw how the stars are called by name, and how they rise and set. Enoch 33:36. Each gate had a specific name and frequency, meaning creation is governed by access. You don't just go to heaven because you die. You must pass through gates that know your name, your resonance, your record. And fallen beings? They're locked outside the gates. That's why the Watchers begged Enoch to intercede. They had lost access. The firmament, not metaphor but mechanism. The biggest secret? Enoch describes the firmament not as a poetic dome, but as a transparent structure, separating lower reality from higher ones. He calls it like crystal, dividing the waters above and below, filled with light, and guarded by angels with eyes like fire. This matches Genesis 1:6-7, which says God made a firmament to divide the waters and called it Shamayim, the heavens. It also aligns with the Quran's description of 7 heavens, one above another, the Dead Sea Scrolls' view of a cosmic curtain, the Mesopotamian idea of the Apsu and heavens of Anu. But Enoch adds one terrifying detail. I saw a prison for the stars of heaven. They were bound because they transgressed the laws of the Most High. Enoch 18:14-16. These stars? Not literal balls of gas. They are beings, watchers, entities, locked in dimensional stasis for corrupting the code of creation. The soul judgment field. Enoch is eventually shown the place where souls go after death, before judgment. He sees a deep valley filled with fire, a split space, part for the righteous, part for the wicked, souls awaiting the final reckoning, and a tree of life with perfume no man can describe. This is not hell. It's a holding pattern, a cosmic courtroom. It aligns perfectly with Islamic Barzakh, the barrier state Jewish Sheol, the underworld waiting room, early Christian views of Abraham's bosom and Hades. But what Enoch makes clear is this: souls are not judged by belief. They're judged by resonance, by what they built inside themselves. And those who corrupted the earth with forbidden knowledge, they are cast into a dimensional pit, guarded by angels of light with faces of flame. So now ask yourself, why would this map be erased? Because if humanity knew how creation was truly structured, we would realize there is no randomness. Heaven is not symbolic time. Death and even judgment are part of a coded field. And if we walk in alignment with that field, we don't need priests. We don't need rituals. We need only to remember the names. Because the gates are real, and they are waiting. You've seen the gates. You've seen the Watchers. You've seen how Enoch mapped the architecture of reality, the heavens, the firmament, the dimensional laws. But the story doesn't end with his visions. It ends with his transformation. Because Enoch didn't just record the secrets of the cosmos. He became a living part of them. He became Metatron. Jewish mystical texts, including the 3rd Book of Enoch and the Zohar, tell us what happened next. This is the story of Enoch, how he ascended to the heavens and was transformed into the angel Metatron, the lesser YHWH. Yes, lesser YHWH. Not a prophet, not a ghost, but a celestial being of light, seated next to the throne, given command over the secrets of time, names, and judgment. Let's break that down. Metatron is not just an angel. He is the scribe of the divine realm, the keeper of the heavenly archives, the one who records every soul's resonance, alignment, and transgression, the one who governs entry through the final gate. And this isn't a fringe idea. In Kabbalah, Metatron is the highest of angels, connected to the Sephira of Keter, the crown. In Islamic mysticism, Idris is described as being raised to a Maqam Aliyan, a high station, Quran 1957. In apocalyptic Christianity, Metatron is linked to the voice of many waters that speaks before judgment. So who is he? He is what happens when a human completes the circuit. When the soul aligns so perfectly with divine resonance, it stops being bound by flesh and becomes light in human memory. The light body technology. Every tradition speaks of this. In Islam, it's the Nuraniya, the body of divine light. In Christianity, it's the glorified body. In Eastern traditions, it's the rainbow body or Merkaba Ascension. And in quantum metaphysics, it's the idea that your consciousness can transcend space-time by shifting into a higher frequency field, a field made not of particles but of coherent information and light. This is what happened to Enoch. He became the bridge between realms, between records, between timelines. And that's why Metatron is always pictured with 70 names, the face of fire, thousands of eyes, a throne made of time, and a cube of geometry. The Metatron's cube, later adopted by sacred geometry schools and even Freemasonry, because this isn't a person. It's a dimensional interface. And it all started with one man who walked with God. The final gate, Enoch's ultimate mission was not to show the structure of heaven, but to reveal how to return to it. And the answer is terrifyingly simple. Only those whose names are found written in the Book of Life will pass through. Enoch 47. This Book of Life is not a ledger. It's a vibrational field, a record of who you became, not what you claimed. You don't pass through the final gate by belief. You pass by resonance. This is why in so many traditions, names are sacred, numbers are codes. Every action echoes in your soul signature. You carry your record, and it shines or it dims. And when the final gate opens, only those whose internal structure matches the higher realms will survive the crossing. This isn't hellfire talk. It's dimensional alignment. Why they hid this book? Because it bypasses religion. It cancels priesthoods. It reveals a universe of law, order, energy, and divine justice that no human can manipulate. You don't need a ritual. You need coherence. You don't need an institution. You need light in your cells. And Enoch proved it was possible.